Here's what's great about Cruel Intentions. If you were in high school in 1999 and you got to see this movie, you thought you were about to watch, and then it paid off on
Yeah.
it. You thought you were watching the most dangerous, the most sexy, the most hip thing you had ever seen in your life. This
I don't
was
know,
like they literally would have signs up in movie theaters saying, "We will not sell tickets to Cruel Intentions to anyone under 17, and you need to show an ID." This was a whole like cultural moment. Like Cruel Intentions was sex and danger, and everyone was aware of it, and this was a big thing going on. And I love that because as a teenager, cinema should feel dangerous. It should feel like something you have to sneak into. There should be risk involved. The movies I remember most clearly throughout my childhood are the ones I snuck into. I can tell you every movie I snuck into.
Same.
There's something about Mary, Enemy of the State, Cruel Intentions. The list goes on. Watching it now, watching Cruel Intentions now as an adult man, 25 years later, look, it's a very fun watch. It's a very fun, wild watch. I will say, there's a lot less ooh and a lot more ugh and aw. Here's my issue with Cruel Intentions. The whole time, you kind of want it to escalate a little harder. You want it to or descend into full camp or something. It sets up a premise where it's gonna get crazy. It's gonna get wet and wild up in here. It's gonna get so effed up you won't even believe it. And it doesn't really. It doesn't escalate a lot. And there's little hints, there's little tastes, there's little teases, but the movie really doesn't heighten in a satisfying way. It kind of stays at the same level in terms of how sort of extreme or how kind of intense things are. And to me, along with that, the big miss of the movie, the big miss, the one that I was like, oh, come on now, is, as we've said, Ryan Phillippe's redemption arc. Ryan Phillippe's redemption arc in this movie makes it ultimately kind of disappointing in the end because Ryan Felipe is fucked up in this movie. The only reason he's not in jail is because they literally have not created laws for his crimes yet. This might be the first example of internet revenge porn in a movie. The very opening scene.
Well, I was going to say American Pie-esque.
Yeah, well, very good. American Pie-esque. Yeah. But whereas in American Pie, it's presented as, well, I guess here it's sort of presented as a fun lark as well.
Similarly.
Yeah, sort of a fun lark. You're right. So this was all like groupthink happening at the same time. The internet's happening. And what is the internet going to be used for? Revenge porn, of course, is everyone's first idea, right? That's as crazy as it gets. They do more examples of that, but it just never, they can't heighten beyond that because the heighten beyond that would I don't know, they'd have to go NC-17 or something. They sort of start with a ceiling and make it seem like a movie that's going to keep heightening, I guess, and it really doesn't.
The first heightening, of course, is that Ryan Phillippe's bet, if he wins the bet and sleeps with Reese Witherspoon, the virgin, and seduces her and takes her virginity or whatever, then he gets to have sex with his stepsister. So that's like a sexual deviancy heightening, is like the incest element. And then the third heightening of this sort of,
which gives us the great line. She to convince him of this wager. She tells him you can put it anywhere, and he says, "You've got to bet, baby."
Well, isn't that the second heightening, though, is the anal? The first heightening is you get to fuck me, your stepsister. And then the second heightening is that, then you can put it anywhere.
And he immediately says, "You've got to bet, baby."
And he is all in on that point.
And I'll tell you why, real quick. I'll tell you why, because if Ryan Felipe grew up and didn't get hit by that taxi, this character would 100% be on the Epstein flight logs and would have been on that island every weekend, baby, because the one thing that he loves is doing virgins and having anal sex with his stepsister. So this guy, my point is, why does this guy get a redemption arc?
Because he falls in love.
Why can't he just be a villain start to finish? This guy don't fall in love. I don't buy it. I don't know why we just can't get a villain in a movie that stays a villain. Oh, but we do. It's Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's
great.
Is going 180% with the filthiest little fucking performance you've ever seen in your life.
She's great. You're right.
She's like Sarah Michelle Gellar sexy, and you know what that means to you because you're you, and you know who Sarah Michelle Gellar is. But then she's doing this affect and this camp thing, and it's so filthy, and they're fucking brother and sister, and they're just vile.